in page number 67 we were reading. Now it happened, we saw that the doctor and the elderly women, the grey-haired, experienced women, both of them, they were sitting in that kitchen, and doctor was taking a cup of tea there, and the elderly woman told the doctor that her daughter, means the would-be mother who was going to deliver the baby, that she wanted that if they could help of not giving chloroform to her. At this, the doctor told that chloroform, the anesthetic, would not do any harm, and the doctor assured the elderly woman that both of them, they will be all right. Means both the baby and the mother will be all right. Up to this, he completed last day. So today, let us resume where we had left. Here, I'm reading from page number 67. Here, the nurse's voice was heard calling from the top landing. Now, we know that the doctor had been there for last 2 hours or more than 2 hours. Once he had went after 1 hour, he went upstairs to check the progress, and then he came back again and he was waiting. Now, they heard that the nurse was calling from the top landing. Andrew glanced at the clock, which now showed 3:30. 3:30 in the morning. He rose and went up to the bedroom. He perceived that he might now begin his work. So at 3:30, the doctor went to near the patient into that room, and he realized that the time has come, the time has ripened, and he now starts his work. And now this is the time when the mother would deliver her baby. Now, an hour elapsed. Afterwards also, when he went upstairs 3:30, afterwards also 1 hour went by. It was a long, harsh struggle. Then, as the first streak of dawn strayed past the broken edges of the blind, the child was born, lifeless. Now, then it was long, the mother was trying hard. It was a hard struggle for the mother to deliver the baby. And then, as the first streak of dawn, first streak means that with the first sunlight, dawn means early morning, straight past the broken edges of the wind of the blind. Yeah, when the first ray came into the room through the broken edges of blind. Yeah, blind means a cover of the window. You know, broken edges of that blind, cover of the window. The child was born. So with the first ray of sunlight, early in the morning, the dawn time, it would be 4:30 like this, in the dawn time, when the first ray, very faint rays came into that room through that broken edges of, broken edges of blind, the baby was born, but lifeless. As he gazed at the still form, a shiver of horror passed over Andrew. And his still form means here physique of that baby, the body of that baby. As he gazed, he looked fixedly towards the dead baby, and a shiver of horror passed over Andrew, and he was very much terrified after seeing the baby, lifeless baby. After all that he had promised, this came first in his mind. He had promised that there would be no problem, both of them would be fine. And they had been waiting for last 20 years, almost 20 years to have their baby. So what he would answer to them, what he would say to that expectant mother and father and the would-be grandmother as well. They are waiting eagerly to have their baby. And the baby died, the baby lifeless. So he was terrified. What he had promised. His face, heated with his own exertions, chilled suddenly. Here, exertion means efforts. He was also giving his effort to help the mother to deliver the baby, and he had to do that. He helped the mother to deliver the baby. And he was very much heated as he had given lots of effort to help the mother. Now, suddenly chilled down, all became cold. He hesitated, torn between his desire to attempt to resuscitate the child and his obligation toward the mother who was herself in a desperate state. Now, he hesitated. Now, a confusion had started in the doctor. Torn, his mind was, he could not take decision what to do. Torn between his desire to attempt to resuscitate the child. Resuscitate, to revive. Resuscitate means to revive. Now, a confusion had started in his mind whether he would try to revive the child into life, or his obligation means his duty towards the mother who was herself in a desperate state. Desperate state means in a critical state. So the mother, after just delivering the lifeless baby, the mother has also gone to a critical state. And the mother's condition was, actually, mothers also needed the doctor's attention the most. So the doctor was in a great confusion, in a dilemma, that what to do, whether he would try to revive the baby, or he should just follow the duty, the obligation to take the mother out of that critical condition. The dilemma was so urgent, he did not solve it consciously. He was thinking what to do, but he could not come to that conclusion, that what he should do in that moment. Blindly, instinctively, he gave the child to the nurse and turned his attention to Susan Morgan, who now lay collapsed, almost pulseless, and not yet out of the ether, upon her side. Now, here it is, blindly, instinctively. What does it mean? That practically he could not take the decision whether what he should do, whether he should try to save the baby, whether he should try to revive the baby into life, or whether he should try to bring the mother out of that critical condition. He could not take the conclusion. Now, blindly, instinctively. Why it has been instinctively? Because it is the instinct of a doctor, especially the doctor who is helping a mother to deliver the baby. Now, every doctor instinctively, and the condition of the mother and the baby's condition where if it is critical, then obviously the first option with the doctor go to save the mother first. This has been stated as instinctively, as if this is the doctor's instinctive. You know, instinctive means that comes naturally. So that instinctively the doctor always go to save the mother first, leaving the baby. So here also, when Dr. Andrew Mason could not take the decision what he should do, whether he should try to revive the baby or he should, help the mother, then instinctively he had taken the second option, that no, I will have to try to bring out the mother from that condition, from the critical condition. And what was the mother's condition also? That and turned his attention to Susan Morgan, Susan Morgan, who was herself in a desperate state. Here it is, Susan Morgan, who now, he gave the child to the nurse and turned his attention to Susan Morgan, who now lay collapsed, almost pulseless, and yet out of the ether, and not yet out of the ether, upon her side. Ether means the anesthetic. So the mother was actually lying there, collapsed means senseless because there was a effect of that anesthesia was also that has been stated as ether. The mother has not come out of the charm of that anesthesia, and her pulse rate was very weak, almost pulseless. So mother's condition was also deteriorating. So the doctor was in a dilemma. Still, he had taken the decision that he should try first to save the mother's life, and he had given the baby to the nurse and just trying his best to save the mother's life. Now, his haste took him only an instant to his haste was desperate, a frantic race against her ebbing strength. His haste was desperate. The doctor was in a hurry to make the mother alive. The mother condition was very critical. To take the mother out of that critical condition, the doctors actually doing all his experience, putting all his experience, and he was in a hurry to do that. Now this has been stated in a nice way that his haste was desperate, a frantic race against her ebbing strength. Ebbing means that is decreasing gradually. So here the patient's life strength was decreasing gradually, means the patients were moving towards her death, and the doctor was trying his best to take her out of that critical condition, as if a race was going on, a race between the doctor's effort and the race between the mother's gradually going towards her death. So a race was going on between the doctor's effort and the mother's deterioration of mother's condition. A race was going on, a crazy race was going on. It took him only an instant to smash a glass ampule and inject the medicine. Now we all know, we have all taken injection, so we know it's ampule means that glass container that contains the medicine. The glass container, when the doctor actually breaks it with just like this, breaks it with the tip of this finger, and they take that medicine and the syringe and put it in our body. So here also the doctor did the same, that it took him only an instant to smash a glass ampule. Ampule means that the little container that contains medicine, the liquid medicine that is injected in the patient's body. So he just had broken that glass container, and he had taken the medicine and glass ampule and inject the medicine, and he had pushed the injection into the mother's body. Then he flung down the hypodermic syringe and worked unsparingly to restore the flaccid women. Now, after giving the injection, he had flung the injection. After giving that injection, yes, he had flung the hypodermic syringe. What does hypodermic syringe means? Hypodermic syringe means the syringe with that needle having a hole in its tip. This is hypodermic syringe. A syringe with that needle, with that having with the needle having a little hole in its tip, means the needle that is used for injection. That is hypodermic syringe, and worked unsparingly. Unsparingly means severely, seriously. He was trying seriously. He was giving all his experience to restore the flaccid. Flaccid means who was hanging or losingly. Flaccid woman was hanging or losing her life strength. That flaccid woman. After a few moments of feverish effort, feverish means also extreme, excited effort. He had given all his effort, this extreme effort. After giving this extreme effort, her heart strengthened. He saw that he might safely leave her, and he felt the pulse. After a few minutes of feverish effort, her heart strengthened. Now, at first, when the mother was going into that critical condition, the mother's pulse rate became very weak. But after giving that injection, the doctor felt that mother's pulse rate was getting very strong. And now here, her heart strengthened. And he saw that he might safely leave her. Now, the mother condition was okay. There was no chance that mother would die. So, mother had come out of the dangerous condition, critical condition. And now, he could safely leave the mother. He swung round in his short sleeves, his hair sticking to his damp brow. His hair sticking to that damp brow. Why? His brow became damp out of sweating. He had been sweating, and his hair had been sticking in that brow, and his sleeves has unfolded. Actually, sleeves of full sleeves has been unfolded, and all this. Now, where's the child? He turned. He was not aware about. He just turned to that midwife and asked, "Where's the child?" The midwife made a frightened gesture. She had placed it under the bed. Beneath the bed. Now, the midwife was very much afraid of, because the midwife also realized that Susan Morgan had given birth a lifeless baby, so dead child. So actually, the midwife had placed the baby under the bed, and he was very much, she was very much terrified at well as well, and actually she had a frightened gesture. She was very much afraid of as well. In a flash, Andrew knelt down. In a flash means in a moment, very hastily, hurriedly. He just knelt down. Okay, kneel down means sitting on the knees. Fishing amongst the sodden newspapers below the bed, he pulled out the child, and in below the bed there was a few newspapers that had been wet, wet newspapers. So he got the baby from the in the middle of that newspaper where where the midwife had kept the baby under the bed. So he had taken out the baby from there. A boy, perfectly formed. He saw it was a boy. A baby was born, and perfectly formed. There was no discrepancy in that formation of its body, perfectly well. The limp, warm body was white and soft as tallow. The limp and the warm body, all the body parts and the warm body was still warm, it was as soft as tallow. Now tallow, what notice there, the hard fat of animals melted and used to make soft candles, etc. So it was just like as soft as tallow, that soft, as soft as the animal's fat, the cord means the umbilical cord, hastily slashed, lay like a broken stem. The doctor had to cut the stem, had to cut the cord. Everybody is having, every child is having that cord attached to her mother's womb. So the doctor had to cut that umbilical cord. So the cord the doctor had, he had already cut this umbilical cord, and it was there just like a stem, broken stem. The skin of a lovely texture, smooth and tender. This is the description of the baby. I don't know. This is the very usual. Every baby is having such type of, smooth and tender. Most of the babies having that smooth and tender. The head lolled on the thin neck. The limbs seemed boneless. The head was loll means hanging on the thin neck. The neck was hanging as if it's a dead child. Lifeless child. So the head was hanging on the thin neck, and the limbs, the body parts, seemed boneless, as if the limbs was boneless. Means there is no strength. How there should be any strength? Because it's a lifeless baby, it's a dead child. Still kneeling, Andrew was still sitting in that posture. Andrew stared at the child with a haggard frown, and as he frowned, corrugated eyebrows. This is frowning, corrugated eyebrows. Andrew was looking into the child with a haggard frown. Haggard means pale. The whiteness meant only one thing: asphyxia pallida. And his mind, unnaturally tense, raced back to a case he once had seen in the Samaritan, to the treatment that he had been used. Instantly, he was on his feet. Now, what is asphyxia pallida? Then let us what note is there? Asphyxia pallida is a suffocation or unconsciousness condition caused by lack of oxygen and excess of carbon dioxide in the blood, accompanied by paleness of the skin, weak pulse, loss of reflexes. All these systems were visible into that baby. It was white. It was reflexes, lot of reflexes. Weak means senseless. So he understood that it is asphyxia pallida, and he had seen such kind of condition before also. He heard about this condition in the case of Samaritan. So he knew that what type of treatment, what is the treatment of asphyxia pallida. This is not the first thing to him. He had such kind of experience as well. So instantly he was on his feet. Now he stood up immediately whenever he could remember that this might be the case of asphyxia pallida, and probably he knew the treatment of it. Get me hot water and cold water. He threw out to these nurse and basins too. Quick, quick. He immediately ordered the nurse that give me 2 basins and hot water and cold water and be quick. He told immediately. He had given the order to the nurse. But doctor, she felt it, her eyes on the pallid body of the child. The nurse could not understand what the doctor wanted to do because the child is lifeless, the child has died. So how it would be possible the doctor would revive a dead child into life? So the nurse was very much confused, and she faltered means she as if she was fumbling. What actually she could not understand what the doctor wanted to tell or wanted to do with this. Now her eyes on the pallid body of the child, and the nurse was also looking into the pallid body of the child. Quick! He shouted. The doctor shouted because he did not have much time to wait. Because as he understood that might be the case of asphyxia palladia, so he might know what would be the treatment for this, and that is why he ordered immediately to the nurse to do this. Understood so far? I feel you have understood. Next day again, we will continue where we are leaving it today. And thank you very much for joining today's class. Thank you for being with me.